A leaked identification photo has ignited a firestorm across social media, revealing a chilling detail. The suspect in a recent shooting targeting members of the U.S. National Guard once belonged to Unit 03, also known as the Kandahar Strike Force, one of the most secretive and controversial zero units of the Afghan war. Shortly after the image spread online, a former senior Afghan military official confirmed to CBS News that the ID card was genuine, silencing speculation that it was merely a photoshopped clickbait. The central figure in this case, Rahmanullah Lakanwal, until recently an unknown name, has suddenly become the focus of a federal investigation, dragging with him a flood of unsettling questions about the hidden scars of war, clandestine intelligence networks, and psychological wounds that never fully heal. According to a U.S. official closely following the investigation and a senior officer of the former Afghan National Defense and Security Forces, Lakanwal once served in a zero unit, an Afghan-only paramilitary and intelligence group trained and equipped directly by the CIA throughout the bloodiest years of the war. These were not units familiar to ordinary Afghans. They operated in the shadows, publicly labeled special partners, but privately tied to numerous allegations of brutality. Zero units fell under Afghanistan's National Directorate of Security, NDS, the CIA-backed intelligence agency that served as the backbone of the U.S.-supported Afghan government prior to its collapse in 2021. To Washington, they were loyal, highly reliable local forces willing to take on missions others avoided, no matter the political or moral costs. But to many Afghans, they were feared death squads, known for midnight raids, unexplained disappearances, and whispered rumors that circulated through war-torn villages. What makes the case even more disturbing is that Lakanwal, according to officials, had been deeply traumatized by casualties within his unit, especially the recent death of a close friend. After the shooting that shocked the U.S. National Guard, many began to wonder, was this tragedy the result of an unhealed past forged in darkness? Or is something deeper, more dangerous, unfolding beneath the surface? The leaked ID card includes a chilling phrase, Firebase Gecko. This was a prominent base used by the CIA and U.S. Special Forces in Kandahar, a compound built on the former residence of Mullah Muhammad Omar, the founder of the Taliban. The land itself feels haunted by overlapping eras of violence. Now, that same name has resurfaced in the file of a shooting suspect on U.S. soil. CIA Director John Ratcliffe confirmed during a tense press briefing that Lakanwal had worked with the U.S. government, including the CIA, as a partner force member in Kandahar. The statement fueled speculation that the shooting may not be just the act of an unstable individual, but a reflection of systemic failures in vetting, oversight, and reintegration of shadow war operatives. Lieutenant General Sami Sadat, who previously commanded Afghan Special Operations Forces, revealed that Lakanwal served in Unit 03 for 8 years. According to Sadat, the unit was among the most elite, battle-hardened, and heavily armed groups in Afghanistan, trained to execute missions ranging from hostage rescues to Taliban manhunts, all directly directed by the CIA. Lakanwal, considered disciplined and highly professional, was also known for his fierce, almost extreme anti-Taliban stance. Sadat said investigators found no link between Lakanwal and terrorist organizations, but admitted, "It cannot be completely ruled out." That single ambiguous sentence was enough to set off alarm bells. If someone vetted twice by the CIA could still conceal something, how many more may be quietly living in American communities? Lakanwal's family had fled Taliban threats, forcing him to move them from coast to Kabul. After emigrating to the U.S., he appeared calm, according to Sadat, but continued to struggle with severe PTSD, a near-universal burden carried by those who survived Afghanistan's long war. Membership in a zero unit almost guaranteed priority asylum in the U.S., as the Taliban considered them top targets for retribution. Many zero veterans played critical roles during the chaotic 2021 Kabul evacuation, an event the entire world watched like a disaster film unfolding in real time. Samantha Vinograd, a former U.S. Homeland Security official, said Afghan evacuees underwent extremely strict vetting. Yet in Lakanwal's case, things may have been more complicated. He had been vetted not once but twice, first before joining the zero unit, and later before entering the U.S. What changed between those two checkpoints? How did he spiral into tragedy? Vinograd suggested the shooting may have been the act of a psychologically volatile individual with no foreign terrorist ties. It sounded reassuring, yet it hinted at something more frightening. Lone actor violence, impossible to predict. Harder to prevent. The Taliban government has made no comment so far. The silence only deepens the mystery, prompting speculation about whether they are confused or simply observing how the world reacts. The shooting, the leaked ID, the testimonies of ex-intelligence officers, and the murky past of Lakanwal are forming a puzzle filled with dark holes. Was this a random tragedy, or the predictable outcome of a system that allowed battle-scarred operatives to slip into society without healing? The answer remains buried in the same shadows where the Zero units once operated, and perhaps where the truth still resides. Zero units, America's hidden war machine. Who were they? When people think of the Afghan war, familiar images come to mind: US soldiers marching through dust, NATO helicopters roaring overhead, Taliban fighters ambushing from rocky passes, and the ominous names of groups like Al-Qaeda. But behind official headlines existed another force, silent, invisible, shielded from public awareness: the Zero units. Afghan paramilitary squads trained directly by the CIA, often equipped even better than regular armies. They took on missions too risky or politically sensitive for US troops. Strangest of all, they weren't Americans. They were Afghans torn from civilian life and shaped into a covert army with no US uniform and no accountability. They struck at night, authorized to kill based on suspicion alone. No cameras, no reports, no records, just operations wrapped in darkness, earning them a nickname whispered by locals: the Ghost Assassins. Their violence is recorded not only by human rights groups but also in local folklore: stories of doors kicked in at 2 a.m., people disappearing without explanation, and villages left traumatized. In Kandahar, where Taliban influence runs deep, Unit 03, Lakanwal's unit, became almost mythical in its ferocity. The CIA wanted fighters who never hesitated, but every such fighter is also a time bomb. Kandahar's firebase Gecko, built atop the former stronghold of Taliban founder Mullah Omar, became the eerie crossroads of old and new violence. For 8 years Lakanwal lived amid those blood-stained walls. No one truly knows how heavily that history pressed upon him. When he arrived in the US, peace should have begun. Instead, disaster struck. The shooting stunned Americans not only because of the violence, but because of the haunting question: how could a soldier, disciplined for years, suddenly snap? The investigation shows he acted alone, left no manifesto, no threat, no motive, just grief over a friend's death overseas. But social media wasn't satisfied. Conspiracy theories exploded. Was he activated? Are thousands of ex-Zero fighters now living in the US? Did the CIA knowingly ignore the risks? No one has answers. How many Zero veterans are in America? How many carry unhealed battlefield trauma? What responsibility does the CIA bear for creating these units, then releasing them into civilian life? The harsh truth remains: you can pull a fighter out of a war zone, but you cannot pull the war zone out of his mind. Zero units were born in violence, functioned in darkness, and that darkness does not vanish when crossing a border for Lakanwal. It was only a matter of time, and time finally ran out.